You need to associate with people that inspire you, people who challenge you to rise higher, to make you better. You do not have time to waste on people who do not add to your growth. Your destiny is too important. Those are some wise words from a man named Joel Osteen. And I'm sure he's talking about people in general. But today, we're really going to bring that into your small business and talk about how to create meaningful business connections that can empower your entrepreneurial journey. Well, howdy everyone. My name is Leslie Hassler. I own Your Biz Rules Business Coaching, and I work with women-led service businesses to grow and scale in a way that's profitable and sustainable so that you can do your great work, build financial stability and legacy, and have a greater impact in your community. And today's topic is so important to your success journey, so important to your entrepreneurial journey, because a meaningful business connection can add a lot of value. It can do everything that Joel Osteen was inspiring you to create in your life when you bring in meaningful business connections. So really, a strong business connection will be able to provide you with support. They'll be able to provide you with advice. They can open the doors to resources, to connections. These are people that celebrate your success as if it was their own. And you need these people in your business life. You need more than one in your business life. And when you have them, what you will find is some of the worry, some of the doubt, some of the I'm not sure how, some of the roadblocks that might feel like they're keeping you from your destiny or keeping you from your success. Those things can melt away and everything can just become so much easier, and your success journey can happen so much quicker when you have these types of business connections in your business. So how do you identify? We're going to go over 3 tips on how to be able to create these meaningful business connections so that you can empower your own entrepreneurial journey. And the first one is, well, who are these people? How do you find them? How do you even know that somebody might be a powerful and meaningful business connection? So I've got a few things for you. So one is they likely are natural connectors. So they're likely active in their industry, in organizations, and they just seem to naturally be the person that knows all sorts of people, right? And the reason why is because this person isn't afraid of a relationship and they're not afraid to pay it forward. That's part of those skill set that makes them such a good connector. 2, they're often humble. They're not doing what they're doing for the fame, the adoration, if you will, but they're doing it because their own personal why is really fulfilled in seeing others succeed. And so you'll notice that kind of humility or humbleness that they may have, which can make them feel approachable, or a little more approachable when you're looking at seeing if somebody could be one of those meaningful business connections for you. I think the next 2 are super critical, and these 2 are a little harder to find. I'll be honest. One is the person has an abundant mindset, which means they believe there's enough to go around. They likely have some level of success, like they feel pretty stable, they feel good, they feel like they've achieved some level of success for themselves, and they're willing to share. Like they're not worried about it you being a case of you or them. They're not worried about not having enough in their business or in their life. They truly believe there's enough to go around. and that even helping a competitor has value. That's a true abundant mindset that it's just not present in everyone. And partly that may not be present because oftentimes people don't have their own basic needs met. That it's been more of a struggle and an obstacle than a story of success. So all of these things, or they're just not in a good headspace, and things have happened, right? There's all of these things that contribute to whether or not somebody has an abundant mindset. But it is key to finding somebody that's willing to give, because sometimes these relationships, they're not a 50-50 kind of equation. Like, they're not measured in, well, I'll scratch your back if you can scratch mine. I mean, that may be part of a relationship, but oftentimes the ones that are truly meaningful, there is not an expectation that they receive as much as they give. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I think the last one, and I mentioned it just a smidgen early, was about somebody who is willing to celebrate the success of others, even if maybe their own success is on a plateau, or even if their own success is in a learning moment, right? Where they don't personally feel successful, but they can cheer you, they will champion you, they celebrate your success. Now, that is a truly giving spirit, right? And in my community, just this week, I did a video on giving generously and why that's so important for a community that like ours, where it's women entrepreneurs coming together to build these kinds of meaningful business connections, to be there for support and for advice and resource sharing, and to help champion the success of each other. So you do have to have that bit of generosity. Our value that we call it is extreme generosity, because we do believe that you can give abundantly. So just look for somebody or some group or community that embodies that type of generosity. So our second tip is all going to be about, like, how can you, like, you've identified somebody, yay, hey, you are a meaningful business connection for me. That sounds kind of selfish, but we need to identify who this person is. The next step is how do you create a meaningful business connection? Now, here's where I'm going to come back to that sometimes these connections aren't a 50-50 thing, like you scratch my back and I scratch yours. Sometimes the person that you're trying to build a connection with brings so much more to the table. In those instances, I don't want that to scare you off. I want you to understand that you just need to be more intentional in the value that you're providing back. So if you've got a meaningful connection and they're providing you with support and advice and resources, maybe introductions to other people that can help you on your journey, you want to ensure that you're supporting that action, that you are showing genuine care for that person, right? That you do things like show appreciation, write a thank you card, send a $5 Starbucks gift card. Those things are really important, especially if you feel like maybe the relationship isn't a 50-50 kind of a thing. That fuels people's fires. So let me give you an example. I speak a lot for free, and I love it. And I get paid to speak as well, and I love it. I love speaking. I love sharing the knowledge that I have, that I've hard earned, both on my own entrepreneurial journey, but also in helping a lot of other women on their entrepreneurial journey. And at the end of the day, like, I challenge people at the end of my talks, at the beginning of my talks even, do one thing. Because when you do one thing, it gets done. But if you're trying to do a million things, it never will be done. And I challenge people, it's like, you want to give me a gift for me sharing my knowledge with you? Come back and tell me how it worked. Share the story. That's part of how I get the jollies. You know, that's part of my payoff in what I do. So when you're building these kinds of business relationships, what you're going to find is you need to find out what is the payoff for them. Is it an introduction of their own? Is it a referral? Is it a thank you? Is it doing something like coming back and sharing the story? So really see how it is that you can add value to the relationship, especially if you just don't feel like it's going to be a 50-50. I think the next way that you can create these lasting relationships is I have my notes titled Close the Loop. Now, closing the loop means that if you are going to solicit advice, support, resources, and connections from a business colleague or connection, you need to take action. There's nothing worse than feeling like what you've shared has fallen on deaf ears. So inaction is not necessarily desirable. And I want to talk about this. I'm not always saying do exactly what they say. I'm saying take what they've shared and do something with it. You could choose to do something maybe in contrast to what the support and advice was shared with you. But if the support and advice actually helped you clarify the situation that made that contrasting action clear, that's action. That's great, right? That's exactly what this type of relationship is for. So when you're going to close the loop, take action. And two, come back. Like I was just sharing, that closing of the loop, share the story, let them know how it went, let them know what you learned, let them know what it was that you appreciated the most from that interaction. There's one little question that I ask every client, if it's my one-to-one clients, my small group clients, people in my community that I come in contact with, and I always leave it on like, on the scale of 1 to 10, how was today? Okay, great. What was the most valuable part of today? So maybe that's 2 questions, but that second part, that what was the most valuable part of today, is really important. It's important to me so that I learn how to do what I do better, but it's also important to the person sharing it because it helps cement, it helps take something that was intangible in the way of whatever we shared, but also give it tangibility, help it actually get into the subconscious. So do something like that with the business connection. Close the loop with them so that they know how it went. All right. The next one is stay in touch, like not in a creepy, stalky kind of way. We don't want that. But really understand that as your success grows, your time demands on your time grow too. And so when that happens, and it happens, it's part of the journey, you've got to be more intentional about how you follow up with people, how you nurture relationships with people. So stay in touch. If that's a meeting once a month, if it's once a quarter, if it's just, hey, I thought I'd let you know I was thinking about you, hope everything's going well, still working on that deal with Joe. Okay, it's just a touch point. And we talk about touch points and how critical they are with your clients, but it's really critical here as well because you're building a relationship. So don't allow something to wither up and die just because you got too busy. Really be intentional about keeping touch with that relationship. Our last tip is, what do you do if things change? Like, what do you do if the relationship you were trying to build doesn't go as planned? The honest truth is, be gracious. Be gracious, be grateful. A million things can impact a relationship, and 99.99999 of them may be out of your control. If a relationship change, if it proves that it's not a good fit, that you don't align experiential, ideologically, values, any of those things, it's okay to say, you know what, I've gotten so much value for this. I really just want to tell you how much I've appreciated it, but I can see how we're maybe growing in different directions, or I can see how I need to be able to move my attention into this area. You can do this with grace, right? And a lot of times, you need to bring closure so it doesn't feel like it's just left hanging or that it's being ignored. So I like to approach these types of situations with grace and with gratitude, and then with clarity about what it is that you need to do next. So we've talked a lot of ways today on how to create meaningful connections that truly empower your entrepreneurial journey, because your destiny is so important that you don't need to waste time surrounding yourself with people who are not helping you grow and helping you rise on your own journey. And we shared 3 tips. So we shared how you're going to identify these people. What do they look like? What do they bring to the table? Then we talked about how the steps that you need to think about to actually create a lasting, meaningful business connection with someone. And then we also talked about, what do you do? How do you handle those moments where maybe the relationship changes or it's just not a good fit, and what you can do to preserve the relationship, but also be able to transition from that relationship. So lots of good tips today. I hope you're doing well. Let me know how this goes for you. You can build these business connections in so many different ways, and they really can empower your business. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you're doing well. I'm Leslie Hasser with Your Biz Rules, and I wish that your future is very bright. We'll talk soon.